Hey guys, it's Tyson and Jeffrey joining you for another Six Pack Dad Tribe podcast episode. And tonight I am interviewing Jeffrey Smith, who has just hit his 1 year mark in the Six Pack Dad Tribe. And you'll also recognize him because he does podcast interviews. He's one of our tribe coaches, just a phenomenal success story. We just spent an hour as a tribe picking his brain, sharing kind of all of his knowledge, and so we're all warmed up here, ready to go. So, Jeffrey, with that, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself so that our listeners know a little bit about you?
All right. Jeffrey Smith. I'm 50 years old. I've been part of the tribe program for a year now. I've been working with Tyson as a coach in the tribe for less than that, probably, 9 months, maybe a little bit more. I don't remember when we started doing the coaching, but learned quite a bit. I thought I knew a lot about how nutrition worked with the body in conjunction to activities because of my triathlete background, my strength training background. I really thought there was that I had a solid base on nutrition and how the body functioned that way. And this program has been an eye opener even for me in understanding how not only the science part of balancing your macros appropriately for you and hacking the body individually, but how that plays into the amount of activity you get, the type of activity it is, and the importance of resetting your hormones, every once in a while with those, we call them cheat meals, but it's an abnormal meal that gives your body that shock of, we're not trying to starve it into some certain state or force it into some state that it does get that taste of real pleasure food every once in a while. That's been an important eye opener for me because I never really utilized the cheat meals appropriately throughout any of my training ever, for decades. So that's been a real good component for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. A lot of people would never even think we're so used to diets and restriction and I
Mhm.
can't have this, and all that does is make us want it even more over time. And
Right.
so when we hear that there's a sustainable lifestyle out there that still allows me to have Lucky Charms and tacos and family meals and ice cream in moderation, gosh, that's appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, and the difference is we teach them how to use that stuff as a tool in making progress. And it's not just, Katie bar the doors, go have as much ice cream as you want, when you're doing it. It's not that. It's utilizing these foods that we take, that we enjoy, and using them as a tool to help keep that needle moving, that furnace metabolism furnace burning. And it's that concept, just like when you tell people you need to eat to lose weight. Your body has to have some sort of responsibility to burn calories and give it that reason to create a furnace burning metabolism. And when you starve it, it doesn't have anything to do, so it sits there and does nothing. You think that your body's going to always constantly function at the same high rate all the time, even if you don't give it any fuel. Well, you don't put gas in your car, it doesn't go. You don't put fuel in your body, it doesn't function appropriately. And then body is such an amazing thing. And I think we do a great job of teaching these guys that it wants to survive. So it starts doing stuff to stay alive, and sometimes it's counterproductive to our fitness goals because survival is more important to your body than abs, and biceps and that kind of thing. It goes into, I'm not going to let you kill me, despite what I think you're trying to do. And I think that's an eye opener to a lot of guys on how to use food as that appropriate tool to make these accomplishments and reach these goals that they're setting.
You bet. So selfishly, I basically have two goals here in visiting with you. Number one is a lot of people who listen to this podcast and others, they'll realize that we've interviewed you before. And
Right.
part of the intention is you just hit your year mark, and there's a very good likelihood that new clients coming in will work with you personally with our one-on-one coaching program. So
Right.
it's partly to give people a chance to get to know you better and to see just who you are and the value that you offer as a coach. The other part of this, I realized early on that you're a unicorn. You're a special guy, and especially in terms of motivation. So many people, they do a diet and they stick with it for 8 or 12 weeks, and then they lose motivation and they quit. And hence that's why the weight loss roller coaster is so prevalent today, and almost
Mhm.
all of our clients have experienced it. Even some of our clients have graphed it out and shown us the chart, which is
Yeah.
so, like, what has allowed you to stick with this now for a year through the ups and the downs? Like, people ask you a lot in the tribe for our masterminds, like, Jeffrey, how are you so motivated? Like, how have you stuck with this? I think we should spend a little bit of time on that question.
You know, it was like in the question and answer session there that, I had when I first started losing weight, it was simply, I was just so unhappy with how I looked and how I felt. Clothes didn't fit, I was tired all the time. I really didn't like how I looked physically in pictures or in the mirror. And so there was a motivation there simply to lose weight. But there wasn't a sustainability plan at that time. It was lose weight as fast as I could and then figure out how to keep it off. Well, I wasn't very successful in that. I did lose a lot of weight, but then I yo-yoed, that 20 some odd pounds back and forth. I'd put it on, I'd peel some of it off, put some back on. And I was always hovering above that level of comfortability that I like to see in myself. My clothes were always just on the verge of fitting instead of, fitting nicely. And so being a triathlete, everything was very goal oriented. So you had to be motivated. You had to be self-motivated to accomplish things because it was a solo sport. You're out there by yourself in every aspect of it. So if you couldn't motivate yourself to complete those disciplines, you just couldn't be successful at it. And so I took those same principles of training for a triathlon and apply it to this, and I break things down. I'm constantly breaking things down into smaller components so that they're achievable. But my family is the biggest motivator. And I know that sounds cheesy to some people, but it's really, after I got sick, I had the heart issues and came out of the hospital. It was like, I'm not holding back on anything anymore. If I need to change my career, I'm going to change it. If I need to change my mindset on how I approach relationships, I'm going to change that too. I'm going to do whatever I need to maximize not only my experiences every day, but how I impact the other people around me. I came out of that wanting to be a better person in general than I think I had been prior. So there's a lot of motivation in helping to inspire other guys like me into making healthier choices there. So if I can't stay the course, I can't coach, I can't teach, I can't be that example if I'm not motivated to do that for myself. And primarily, yeah, I want a longer life. I want to be healthy. I want to enjoy my family as long as I can and them to enjoy me as well. But the other part of that is, the things that I've put into my life, like, coaching, the tribe, all the other stuff that I do, require me to maintain a certain level of physicality and healthiness. And I mentioned it earlier tonight, that clarity of having to be able to make better decisions, because I'm not self-conscious about how I look. You spend the whole time in a business meeting worried about everybody thinking you're fat. You're not thinking about what you're doing there. Your focus on the important stuff is gone. And being healthy allows me and anybody to have that clarity. And those are the motivating things to me. And some of it sounds a little textbook, but it's the truth. There's not it's not just, hey, I'm so excited every day to go out. And I mean, I have days I don't want to go to the gym at all. I have days I want to just bury myself into a bag of Doritos and a Mountain Dew. We all have that stuff, but you can't. Those things can't. When you don't want to be at the gym, that's when you should be at the gym in that moment. When you want to dig into those Doritos and Mountain Dews, if you're going to do it, it has to be in that moderation. And if you haven't matured enough in this program to get to where you can control yourself with that kind of food, then you can't have that kind of food. And that's the motivation for me, is teaching other guys to be able to do that.
Yeah, you nailed several. I just want to highlight a few of the awesome things you shared there. One was the heart incident that was eye-opening. I think about Star Hall in our group, who and he's coming up on his year mark, and with his blood pressure scare, he talked about that going into the dentist, and then he found us, and now his blood pressure, blood alert, he's 40 pounds down of fat, and it's never looked better. That was his very strong why. Or my dad, when he was 69 3 years ago, started to become pre-diabetic, and so that motivated him to say, hey, Tyson, tell me about intermittent fasting. And now 3 years later, he's down 40 pounds of fat. He's 175 and 71. And yet some people, we don't have to wait until we have a heart scare or a health problem to get this dialed in. We just got to act. But I loved your why there. Another thing I loved that you shared was you participate. And in the tribe, we've selected busy working professional dads as the audience and as the community, so that we get each other. And just as you, having done this a year and doing so well, you're motivating other people, and vice versa. And I loved also that you said that, like the theme of this tribe is dads winning at fitness and life. And you still have the world to conquer with your petroleum business. You're an entrepreneur building an empire, and you talk about how this journey has elevated other aspects of your life to think clearly, to have more energy to pursue those dreams. That's really powerful.
It is. And it just, it's funny because you as you start to feel good about yourself, if you don't start to want to impact other people, that doesn't resonate with me, because it was natural for me, to be able to say, okay, I've learned something here, and I want to share it with other people. I need to pay it forward somehow. I went into the hospital and I didn't die. So coming out, I need to do something with that, and I just applied that to this same process that we're working here. Is I have some knowledge and I have some ability to help some guys overcome some things. So, whether it's 4 guys at a time or 10 guys at a time in the Marco Polo groups or the one-on-ones, whatever it is, if any of these guys come out of here better, and reaching some of their goals, the Rons, the Stars, the Lyles, all those guys that have made some significant progress, and I've been able to blessed to have a hand in doing that with those guys. That's pretty powerful, and that's the goal, is to put that out there, so that if I died today, all this, everything I have to share doesn't disappear. I've laid it out there with other people to be able to continue to share. And so that's the big motivation. And selfishly, my grandkids, and being able to watch them grow up, and then them remember me as that guy who spent that time helping other people become better people, sharing that example with them, and not just, grandpa was just an old curmudgeon, that I was engaged not only with them, but with other people as well. And they see that example and the importance of community.
Yeah, that's so neat. Well, I recognize that our listeners can go back and hear a lot of what you've said in past interviews. We'll keep this one a little bit briefer. Why don't we even just end with this? So a lot of our folks are listening to this and they're busy. They're devoting their lives to their careers and their families. They're short on time. They're probably maybe discouraged or even skeptical. I've tried diets, I've tried products, I've tried
Mhm.
pills. How's this going to be any different? Like what advice or hope or motivation would you give to someone who's that type of listener, 35 to 65 years of age, to give this a shot, or whether they, even if they don't want to work with us per se, just to help them out in life? You're a year into this. What would you tell someone who's wanting to try something now to fix this problem of being 40 pounds overweight?
I mean, they lose nothing by um, spending 12 dedicated weeks to following a program. It's not a diet. It's not a it's not a probiotic regime. There's no products involved here that you have to. There's no gym you have to go to either. This is about deciding what activities you like and doing that vigorously, regularly, and then allowing us to teach you how to balance your macros and your nutrition. And it's that simple, really. And everybody who's skeptical is doing more difficult things in their life every day, just in general, than this. So it's about how selfish do you want to be? Are you ready to not be out of shape? Or are you okay with continuing to look in the mirror and not be happy with how your clothes fit, how you look, all that kind of stuff? They have to be at that point. So if they're not at that point, nothing you and I are going to say makes any difference in the world. They're not going to subscribe to it. They have to be, so there has to be a juxtaposition of I'm ready. And we've proven through your program that this works, and on multiple occasions, over and over and over. The empirical evidence is here. So anybody investigating this can go through the testimonials and look at the blogs and look at the podcasts and see there's repeated success from people doing the exact same thing, and allowing us to tweak it a little bit individually. So if you're not willing to invest a little time, and okay, there's some money involved, and that's a factor for some people, but this is a win-win. By trying it, no matter what, you'll come out with less fat than you started with. And ultimately that's the goal.
Hearing you should thank you for sharing that. And by the way, for our listeners, Jeffrey has just become a dear friend. In you and I didn't even start with that intention. It was just two guys getting together to coach and get you on a journey you wanted to go on, and now you're like a trusted partner in all this. It's been the kind of the funnest part of all this. So I appreciate our friendship. The one analogy, I think, let's even close with this. Just hearing Jeffrey talk, our clients have two choices, and this goes to opportunity costs, which our audience should resonate with as working professionals. You and I live here in St. Louis, and let's pretend we're going to go to Disneyland with our kids and our grandkids. Most of our clients are trying to get there on foot, figuratively speaking, talking about their fat loss journey. They're trying to hack this with cheap solutions. They're willing to go through a lot of pain, a lot of trial and error. The Six Pack Dad Tribe is a private jet to get there. And it will be a lot less painful. It'll be much more efficient. It can happen in a couple hours, figuratively speaking, as opposed to a year on foot and nearly killing yourself.
Yeah.
So that's more and more, that's what I'm telling people as I do enrollment calls and explain. And ultimately, the listener has to decide, what is my time worth? Because regardless of which option I choose, whether I'm going to pay money at this or just spend time on it, there's costs regardless. And so for our audience listening there today, if you have interest in saving yourself time at efficiently solving this problem, and a year from now being able to be interviewed just like Jeffrey is, we'd invite you to go to the sixpackdadtribe.com and go ahead and apply and give us some background information, and it'll book a call with me. And ahead of time, I'll share with you pricing so there's no surprises. But what we offer is one-on-one personalized coaching. This is customized for the life of a busy dad. And we do provide community support and accountability, basically everything you need to succeed. So Jeffrey, any parting words as we finish up?
No, it's just been a privilege to do this for a whole year, and see it grow from what it was exactly 1 year ago to where it is now. Not only do we have the fitness programs going, but we have the mindset workshops, the meetings that we're doing there. So it's blossomed into an entire mind and body program for people if they want to take advantage of it. And it's very unique. I've never come across anything like it out there before. And I think a lot of guys can benefit from, both aspects of this program, or you have some people that get into it, enjoy the community, and they benefit from just one or the other. It's there for whatever you need, an a la carte option of how you want to help improve your life. And so, and I think you and I have always made ourselves available to guys. So it's not just about fitness, it's about staying motivated. It's about developing mindset techniques, all that kind of stuff. We're here, as a whole wellness coach, not just helping you lose fat.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, I started a website and started blogging about these topics and made no money for a long time. And as I look at where where we're at now today, the entire difference has been meeting and connecting with people like you and using a good to great principle, getting the right people on the bus. And you're one of them, Jeffrey. We are so blessed to have you in the tribe for your motivation, your inspiration, who you are, just your character as an entrepreneur, as a father, grandfather, all of it. And so glad you would join us tonight.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate doing this, but I also look forward to seeing some of the other guys that are reaching their year mark get on here and talk as well, because everybody's experience is so unique. This is you can't hear this stuff too many times.
No. Yeah, and there's an ongoing need for us to balance this into our life. So
Very good.
Again, if you're interested, check us out, the sixpackdadtribe.com. And Jeffrey, thanks again.
Oh, it's been a blast. Thank you.